here from Leadpaint. Very much rewarded.
All right, well, that means he takes a 2-1 lead in the series with just Mage and Shaman left remaining. I believe the Mage is sort of that wild card deck. That was the deck that we couldn't see. It was his fifth deck, his secret deck, so to speak, from his group stages. So I'm curious to see what it is. It feels like Tempo Mage would fit more with the style of play that he's going with, especially if he's expecting more Druids. But he could be Freeze Mage. I've known Leadpaint in the past to play some Freeze Mage, some of the laughing Freeze Mage.
Yeah, I think at this point, Zalae's kind of hoping it is Freeze Mage. He's got two decks that line up fairly well against it, but it is Tempo Mage instead. And that's the kind of matchup I think that Leadpaint is looking for. Tempo Mage versus Control Warrior is such an interesting matchup because oftentimes with Tempo Mage, you want to open up with Mana Worm, you want to get a great tempo play with Sorcerer's Apprentice and maybe like a Flame Cannon, a Frostbolt, or an Unstable Portal. But in this matchup, it typically plays a little bit slower. If you get your early game disrupted, you find that the Mana Worm is just so much less effective against this build. You know, say in the face of Fiery Warax. But it has the potential to play that long game. With Archmage Antonius in here, I've been playing quite a bit of Tempo Mage recently. I've actually been using more of a spare part build with Emperor Thaurissan to try to unlock the potential from a couple of Flamewakers or from Archmage Antonius. So it'll be curious to see how Leadpaint's built his Tempo Mage deck. I know a lot of people don't favor that Clockwork Gnome style, but you do have options to fight control if you so wanted it to be that way.
Yeah, and there's also, some cards in this deck that I was just about to mention. There's some tech cards that you can throw in to make this deck so much better against Control Warrior. What else is Water Elemental? 6 health is tough to get through. It doesn't die to even a second charge of Death Spite. And that means that a lot of times that thing's going to stick around or it's going to eat a lot of removal. And if it sticks around, that pretty much locks out weapons from the Warrior player. So really like to see that thrown in there, especially given what kind of decks are being played in the meta right now with Shaman, Warrior, Paladin, and even Druid, getting rid of that hero power, all popular decks currently.
Yeah, just a strong minion. 3/6 for 4 mana is already pretty decent. When you add the freeze behind it, that's really the big one. Mm-hmm. And so I think that Leadpaint is definitely going to look for an opportunity to use that Water Elemental. And just going to play this as a 5/2. I kind of like this. Wow, Bouncing Blades from Zalae. This is really interesting. Oh, going to use it right away, though. And I think this is, when Leadpaint sees Bouncing Blades here, this is like his opportunity to go for the Water Elemental as soon as possible. And this could be a nightmare for Zalae.
Yeah, and Zalae actually just gives a little bit of a smile as soon as he throws out that Bouncing Blades. He knows that that's a weird choice to throw in his deck. I think Zalae still has to hit this with the Death Bite and be tunneled in on a bash to remove it next turn. And, just take that extra damage and take the freeze for a turn. But we'll see. Oh, okay. At least Dark Seeker sort of fits the same role, but it's also vulnerable to like a Fireball, and that means that you can't get that damage from Deathbite initially.
Yeah, could be plenty happy to see a Fireball here on the Elise, though. I don't think Leadpaint's going to go that direction. Just the fact that he gets the freeze off initially is a big deal. And if Zalae attacks into the Water Elemental, it means he's missing the next turn with the Elise anyway. So it would leave Leadpaint plenty of time to deal with it.
Yeah. Ooh.
Considering Arcane Missiles here, this is really interesting. So Arcane Missile Mirror Entity is going to be his play. And he is attacking the Elise. I'm really shocked by that.
The Elise is going to trade into it anyway. It feels like, no matter what the circumstance.
Maybe he's trying to represent Duplicate with this?
Sure, but I don't think, even if you think it's Duplicate as Zalae, I feel like you have to remove it anyway, because you just can't. It's either you duplicate it and he spends 4 mana playing it next turn, or you just leave it on the board and get frozen anyway. So, an interesting line of play. I'm not sure if I necessarily agree, but we'll see if it's going to play off for him, because he still gets the Death Spite coming out. Naga Sea Witch. That
not
doesn't
very,
really.
Yeah, not a strong one in Tempo Mage.
What it does do is allow you to cheat out, an extra 5/5 with your Doctor Boom, but that's about it. If you draw Doctor Boom on turn 7, it means you can play Naga Sea Witch for 2 mana and play Doctor Boom. So That could be good, but it also means you just play more into Brawl. So I don't think that's going to be a great pickup for Leadpaint.
Zalae really respecting the Flame Waker here too.
Yeah.
Just revenge and bash to take care of it. I think Leadpaint's pretty happy with that one. Mana Worm, Sorcerer's Apprentice. Sorcerer's Apprentice, I do know this one very well. And Arcane Intellect back behind it. Not the greatest pickups for him.
Yeah. He can give over a Acolyte of Pain if he wants. But giving Tempo Mage cards is pretty dangerous. But it's also the weakest minion you're going to have in your deck to throw into Mirror Entity, so I don't think you're too worried about it.
Second Acolyte. This is like the third game we've seen at least 3 Acolytes on board.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just going to take his card advantage here. With 2 Brawls in hand, I don't think Zalae is fearing the threat of a lot of minions, basically at all. And at this point, it feels like it's going to be kind of a card advantage battle, which Tempo Mage actually fights really well.
Yeah, they do. They have a lot of cycle with Arcane Intellect and Azure Drakes, and they have all of their cards feel really impactful against Warrior. Even just like Frostbolting Face at times can like buy you an extra turn. Duplicate allows for a lot of card advantage as well, so it's just it depends on what it falls on. Duplicate on a Mana Worm is not that great, but it has the potential to be good. Everything has the potential to be good.
Yeah, I think in this matchup, duplicating Mana Worm is never really a problem. I think the one you don't want to duplicate is likely Sorcerer's Apprentice. Pretty much all the other minions have a little bit more value because they either draw cards or they're very cheap, effective threats.
Mm-hmm.
Things of that nature. So duplicate doesn't look like it's going to be the play here at all. It's just second Sorcerer's Apprentice. Maybe a Frostbolt here on one of these Acolytes, but I think I'd like to see Leadpaint get a little bit more aggressive than that. He's going to play duplicate, though. And is it the trade? Yeah, trades off the Sorcerer's Apprentice. Definitely doesn't want that duplicated. Second Bouncing Blade.
It's so interesting. I wonder what he cuts for those, because Revenge, I would think, would be what you would cut, but we also see a Revenge, so he has at least one.
Yeah, notice it's not counterspell at this point. Ooh, Fiery War Axe. Pretty darn good one. It's like maximizing his draw from these Acolytes as well.
Oh, yeah.
Yep, so there's a duplicated Mana Worm. And with Sludge Belcher back behind, that's kind of that's really the ideal situation, I think, for Zalae, is the fact he's clearing off the board position and then has a taunt in the face of just a couple of threats and has a brawl in the face of more than 2 threats, I think.
Yeah.
So this is looking pretty good for him. Does take 4 from the Azure Drake, but I don't think he's too sad with that. His hand feels like it's got all the tools to fight against this.
Yeah. There we go. He could cheat it out. No! I guess he doesn't want to play in a brawl that much.
Yeah, but I like just playing the Doctor Boom here. Doesn't need to add anything to it. This is often enough to force some action from Zalae. He does have Shield Block and just picked up Shield Slam.
So that's an option, but yeah, I guess holding on to Brawl has some merit. At least one of them, just because you know that there's a duplicate. You kind of feel like Leadpaint's going to flood the board next turn if he feels like you don't have any more Brawls.
Yep. This is actually a pretty low-risk brawl from Zalae here, too. You might be looking at this and going, well, if the Dr. Boom wins, he can't Shield Block and Shield Slam anymore. But with that Bouncing Blade in hand, he's able to really get pretty much max value from that if the Dr. Boom would live that turn.
Yeah. I suppose, using Brawl plus Bouncing Blades to remove a single card isn't the best of value, but it's still sort of that emergency plan that you have if everything goes wrong.
Curious how Zalae is going to choose to play this one. If he doesn't attack the Boombot, I don't really know what this says about his hand. Attacking the Boombot, armoring up in second setting, and setting a second Fiery War Axe feels like a pretty decent play. But I think he's trying to send the signal to Leadpaint that he might be a little bit more desperate. And the Shield Block, this may be Leadpaint's turn to just kind of dump his hand onto the board. He just saw Brawl. He's also make a pretty weak turn with the Shield Block here.
Yeah.
I don't know about this one. This is a tough spot.
I think you just go halfway.
No, you don't go halfway.
You go full way. I suppose.
You go all or you go home.
I guess this is sort of halfway, because he could have played the Sorcerer's Apprentice as well. But this is also going to lock out the weapon from maybe cleaning up the board if Second Brawl does come out. So...
Can't imagine Zalae not brawling this position. It's just like,
yeah.
This was the turn he set up for by casting the shield block. So, Flamewaker is going to live. That may force a Bouncing Blade here.
Ooh, and Boombot hits for 4. So that could open up a potential opportunity later on in the game for Leadpaint to burn him out, but still a lot of health to get through. And there's the Bouncing Blades.
That's that top corner 4 times. What are the odds of that?
I don't know. What are the odds of Bouncing Blade animations?
That's the real RNG.
Alright, this is when I think you go for it.
Well, now he's seen both brawls, and he's locking out some spells with this Loatheb. Yeah. This is actually a pretty fantastic turn here from Leadpaint.
The thing is, now his fireballs cost 5.
Oh no! Second Sludge Belcher's got to be a welcome draw here. Just anything to stop the bleeding at this point.
Yeah. Leadpaint looks very stressed, but Double Belcher means that there's absolutely no way you can die going into the next turn. He is going to go down to 13, but there's a Naga Sea Witch on the board that can't die. So there's no chance for Fireball ping.
Yeah, Archmage would have been a good draw here as well. Just anything to get some extra gas going, but how does Leadpaint tackle it? I mean, is there ever a chance you use a burn spell from the get-go?
I don't know. I feel like you need to throw those out the face. Maybe even Frostbolt the face here, just to block out weapons.
Now that's exactly what he's going to do. Frostbolt face.
Yeah.
It's laid down to 10, but answering these 2 5/2s. Oh, and a shield block. That's a massive draw right now.
Yeah, that gets rid of the opportunity for Leadpaint to get runner Fireball to close out the game. So Leadpaint's sort of out of resources now. Even if he draws an Archmage Antonidas, he's still going to need an extra turn to draw into some type of spell to get that ball rolling.
And I think that's something Zalae's thinking about right now, is what if the last threat is a Ragnaros or an Archmage? If I choose to use the Shield Slam and the Execute, it means I likely don't have an answer to one of those 2 cards.
Yeah, I mean, he can also just remove the Loatheb. And even if he takes... that
draw is pretty good.
Yeah. Yeah, I think he can use the Shield Slam. Alright. Next turn, he's basically going to get out of reach of just about everything that Leadpaint can do. So I think that is probably just going to be the game here.
Yeah, even if Leadpaint draws Archmage, you can't really use it here. No castable spells in hand after the Naga Sea Witch is gone. Arcane Intellect, decent pickup. Yeah, that guy's a bit late.
Don't think there's any secrets left. It's a possibility that there might be a counterspell still left in the deck. I don't really remember seeing one in the matches that he played on Friday. On Friday. That's that feel when you look at Golden Monkey and just think, another taunt.
I think it's time to tank up. Zalae agrees.
Indubitably.
Yeah, up to 20 versus 1 card for Leadpaint. Yeah, no secret from that mad scientist either. I think this slides out. He's gonna have to fireball that. Oh gosh, this feels bad.
Yeah. Yikes.
Yeah.
Oh, but then this water elemental is gonna block out everything for the rest of the entire game.
It's got a high chance to do so.
Yeah.
Zalae's still going to take his time, though. He does still have options, even despite having the Golden Monkey.
At this point, I'd just be on autopilot.
Maybe I know the TJ plays.
I just slam Monkey.
TJ's like, I'm ahead.
Smack the face. Armor up.
I'll just close my eyes and click buttons. It'll work.
Yeah. I've already counted this win on my tracker in this game. I've already put that tally.
Zalae is thinking about, is there any way I can lose this game? That's what he's thinking about right now.
Yeah. That's the sign of a smart player, because I'd be thinking about, how do I win the next game?
That's what he's planning out right now.
Yeah.
I'm just going to continue to play very patiently, though. This is probably better than just slamming the golden monkey, honestly.
Getting the Grom on the board, yeah.
Yeah. That's okay, but not enough. This is like the point where like you're watching like the Nature Channel, and like the lion starts to eat the gazelle.
And you think they're gonna pan the camera away, but they just don't. They just sit there. The narrator even just stops talking about it, and the camera just stays there.
Golden monkey, let's go.
All right. Well, let us see.
Almost has the mana to cast a Nat Paggle after he armors up. Tanks up, excuse me.
Don't get him confused.
Yeah. Look at Leadpaint's face. He's like, oh, really? Now
Physical
I draw flame
pain.
cannons?
Yeah. Physical
Hey!
I bring life.
Deathwing, or what's the saying afterwards?
pain. Right. Swagwing. Right,
Leadpaint finally gonna scoop him up here. 2 games apiece.
Yep. Tying it all up. And Paladin Druid remaining for Zalae, and Mage Shaman remaining for Leadpaint. That's Temple Mage and Aggro Shaman. So both of those